Today's presentation is on the basics of an effective safety program. And we want to talk about that. Just at the outset, I want to say I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail on each of the elements that we're going to bring up, because I've got a webinar out there on pretty much every one of those. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, the video afterwards, there'll be a link here or somewhere around that you can click on and go to those other videos. If you're not watching on YouTube, you can, if you're watching live with us now, I will try to put a link to each one of those in the email that I send out after the presentation is done. So then you can just go to those specific videos and get a little more detail there. So you got to listen to me today, and I hope you don't take this as an overwhelming thing. This is something that anybody can do. Safety isn't easy. It's not a given. It's something that we have to work hard at, but it can be simplified, and that's really the direction that we're going in. I've been doing this for a long time and worked with hundreds of different organizations to help put these programs in place. And I think it's doable for any size of organization, and people who have experience or don't have experience. You can do it. So, all right, I want to start off with a poll just quickly. Let me jump out of here, and I'm going to launch this poll. So hopefully you're close and you got your finger ready to answer the poll question. So on this poll, there are 3 questions. The first question: does your organization have a great safety program? Question 2: is your safety program well organized with specific responsibilities? And the third one: are you confident your program has adequately addressed your hazards? All right.
And don't worry, folks, we can't see who says what. So
that's right. This is completely anonymous, so you can be truthful in these questions, because these are kind of probing questions. They're kind of hard things. We're going to let this run for just a few more seconds. Well, probably 30 seconds there, because it looks like we got people actively participating. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that reminder there, because more people started participating when you said that we can't see who's saying what. All right. Got about 68% have completed it. I'm going to go ahead and click end poll and see if it will allow me to do that. It may yell at me. Okay, so we're going to share the results now. So does your organization have a great safety program? And 64% said yes. Awesome. 3% said no, and 9% said no, and 27% said we're getting by. All right. I think I can go with that. Is your safety program well organized with specific responsibilities? 67% said yes, 21% said no, and 12% said not sure. So, okay, we're being honest. And the third question: are you confident your safety program has adequately addressed your hazards? 67%. I think the same group must have answered that question in the affirmative all the way through. 27% said no, and 6% said I'm in the fetal position crying. So not bad, not bad. Well, I kind of want to take everybody's temperature on this. Let's see. Okay, did that go away? Now let me click this button, and we'll get back to the presentation. I think this poll is kind of probing, and depending on where you're at in the organization, what your experiences have been will probably indicate where you answered on those questions. Our goal, no matter what our job responsibility, should be to have a good safety program. Not that it's just a program that's effective, and hey, we want to have this thing be world class and all of those things. Those are great goals. But the first and most important thing is we want our people, our coworkers, to be safe. We want people to go home alive. We don't ever want to have a fatality at our workplace. We don't want people to have serious injuries, and we want to prevent as many of those minor injuries as we can. So that's my goal going into this presentation today. So with that being said, I want to talk just a little bit about what's new in 2022. Each year we introduce a few new things that we're working on in the trust in different areas of focus, and 2022 is no different. In 2022, we're introducing, and many of you may have already heard about this, the Designated Safety Officer Program. And this is an opportunity for somebody who has responsibility over safety at your organization to get some additional training, to get some help from the trust in helping you in your responsibilities. And so as our account executives have gone out and done their renewals this year, they have talked to your management, whether it's the top person in your organization or the person they're working with. They've talked with them about designating a safety officer who is responsible for safety in your organization. And that's also part of our rebate program that we do, and the discounting program, along with your TARP program. This will be part of that this year, is designating a safety officer and getting them involved to get them trained up. Now, many of you are already well trained up, and you've got years of experience and all of that, and that's absolutely okay. And it's exactly how we designed the program, because part of this training and part of this program is working together and learning from each other. We'll be setting up some regional associations of designated safety officers so we can help each other out. Here at the Trust, we have limited number of people in loss prevention, and we can't be at every one of your safety committee meetings. We can't investigate every one of your incidents that happens and all of those things. We want to be a partner with you, but we realize we can't do everything for everybody. And so the best way that we can help out is to help you do it better in your organization. So watch for more information on this. And if you're watching this video later on, there'll probably be some information about this. This is really kind of the 101 for the designated safety officer. We're also sponsoring quarterly Labor Commission luncheons. And we're bringing in folks from UOSH, or as we lovingly call it, Utah OSHA. That's the organization that establishes workplace safety and health regulations and goes around and does those inspections for the state of Utah. And we'll be having those presentations, like I said, quarterly through the year. And we've got one coming up. I'm gonna put Mike on the spot if he's listening in here. I can't remember the date on that one, so I think it's the 19th. But we'll let Mike.
Yep, that's right. Wednesday, January 19th.
Wednesday, January 19th. And if you haven't signed up for that, you can go to utahtrust.gov/UOSH, UOSH, utahtrust.gov/UOSH, and you can sign up for that luncheon there and learn something from Utah OSHA and get a free lunch out of the deal as well. So, all right. In addition to that, we are introducing OSHA 10-hour training. This is something that we haven't done in the past. And between Mike and myself, we'll be out doing OSHA 10-hour classes, and we'll do those on a regional basis around the state. So this is an opportunity for you to get not only your frontline folks an OSHA 10-hour card, but also your designated safety officers. And that's really part of our goal, is to help them learn more about their responsibilities as it pertains to safety. We'll also be introducing our MyTrust mobile application, and that will help us out. That will help us. Thanks, Mike, for putting that on the chat. I appreciate it. I can actually see the chat. It never does that. we'll be introducing our MyTrust mobile application that will help you track your hazards. It's what we use in loss prevention to go out as we do risk assessments of your facilities, and it makes it really easy to track, to one, create a report, and two, track those things through to completion. So watch for us to announce that as well. It's live and happening right now, but we want to roll that out to each of you. And if you want to be in one of those people in the initial group, let us know, and we'd be happy to accommodate that. Okay. All right. Oh, and Mike put in the chat, Mike put on there that if you attend in person, you get lunch. We also have a virtual option for that Labor Commission luncheon as well. And so if you're in St. George and you don't want to make a trip to Salt Lake, you can also sign up for a virtual version of that as well. Okay. So the question as we dive into this, and we're happy to answer questions on all of those things, but look forward to more information as we go on. Question we have here: how important is safety? We look at some of these numbers, and they may actually kind of pale in comparison to things we've been going through with COVID and all of those things. However, I think these numbers are still pretty stark. Every year we have about 4,500 worker fatalities. That's about 12 people that die on the job every day. 4.1 million serious injuries. These are ones where people are going and having serious medical interventions because of something that happened on the job. And about 60,000 occupational illness deaths, people dying from silicosis, from asbestosis, lead, and various other workplace illnesses that are contracted through their work. That's some pretty serious stuff. Ask you another question here: what impedes effective safety programs? We had a bunch of you out there, 67%, that said we've got a great safety program and it works well. Well, it took you some time to get to that point. What is it that impedes effective safety programs? And you can type that in the chat box, but let's see. You can type those things into the chat box there. I'm going to throw my own ideas out on this. This is one that's a challenge. It's an attitude. It won't happen to us. It won't happen to me. I'm smarter than that. It's not going to happen to me. Well, for those people that maybe have that attitude, I would throw that to, I would just ask you the question: have you ever hit your finger or thumb with a hammer? Have you ever cut yourself while you're shaving, or cut yourself doing some project? Well, I am a safety guy. I have 20 plus years of experience in this field, and guess what? I'm not immune to these things. And I can get better with my safety program as well. Other things that might impede us: it only happens to dumb people. It's not going to happen to me. I'm smarter than that. Well, 4.1 million dumb people each year. Get this: we're all exposed to this, and we all have the potential. We may be at risk because of somebody else's actions. Our safety program goes way beyond just me. I'm responsible for my safety, but I'm also responsible for everybody else's safety, and as they are responsible for my safety as well. Okay, it costs too much. Well, we can't spend that kind of money on a safety program. Well, we can't take time off to do safety meetings or things like that. Well, we spend close to $200 billion per year on workplace injuries. Those injuries magnify in their impact how much extra work do we have to do for that person who is injured and out of work. How much, if you're producing a product, how many extra widgets do we have to produce to compensate for that loss? And it magnifies that number of close to $200 billion per year in this country. Cost about $1,300 per employee working in this country per year for those injuries. That's a massive toll on our workplace and on our lives if it's us that it happens to. And sometimes people will come up with the response to this when they say, hey, we need a safety program. We don't have time for that. And I guess I would just counter that with, could you make time for a funeral? Over my years working with different organizations, I've seen people make change in their organization through various different ways, and sometimes it's a new manager comes in and they believe in safety and they make it happen. I've also seen situations where a serious incident has happened, and some of those were fatalities, and they made a change. Let's not make a change because of something significant like that. Let's be proactive and dive in. Okay. All right, next. And just a couple other questions on that. Management won't support it. Well, if management doesn't support it, they don't understand the score. They don't know the score or the scope of really what that is. And that's part of this presentation, and everything we do working in safety is to help management understand the impact of that and how important it is to all of their operations. Okay. Some people say it's too complicated, and that's our goal today, is to try to make this simple. Let's make it as simple as possible to put a safety program together. And that's the direction that we're going now. Now, I told Mike before, I said, this is a terrible slide. This has way too much information on it, but these are the elements. And so we're going to just skip this slide and we're going to dive on to the next one. This element of an effective safety program is first for a reason. If I don't have management commitment to safety, it's going to be a hard climb. It is going to be a tough job. Let me tell you, I've worked for organizations on both sides of this coin. And I've been threatened with my job. I had a vice president right out of college. I went and did a risk assessment for all of the corporations, went all across the country and did risk assessments, wrote a report, and I sat down with this vice president, and the first thing out of his mouth as we're going to go through the report was, first, tell me, would you ever work for OSHA? And I really had no intention of ever working for OSHA. And so I said, no. And he says, good, because if you would, there's the door. I thought, oh, this is going to be a long day. And it was, but it ended up working out well. And we did some great things there. But your management is essential to a safety program working. If we did a poll right now, and I said, and many of you out there are the managers, if I said, if I put a poll out there and said, does your management support your safety program? What would you answer there? And is that support broad-based? When things get tough, will they still support your safety program? Management needs to do the right thing, even when it hurts, even when nobody's watching or everybody's watching. We need to do the right thing. Okay, so gaining that management commitment can be a challenge, and it's something we've got to work on. But here's some overall thoughts on management commitment. They have to believe in safety. There's a good presentation out there by Mike Rowe, the guy from Dirty Jobs and The Deadliest Catch, and he's done a lot of discovery type shows out there, and he talks about safety third. And you can go out and watch that, and I think it's a good thought about safety. We always talk safety first, but we have to realize that we have jobs to do and all of those things, but safety needs to be a part of everything that we do. It can't stop everything that we do because we exist to make sure the water's running or the sewer keeps flowing or the parks stay open and all of those things. It needs to be an equal part in all that we do. Okay, a few things just from an executive standpoint, a boss, management. they need to write down their commitment to safety through a safety charter. This is what we believe in. Something as simple as every agenda that we have for meetings should have safety as a part of it. If we talk about safety in every meeting, that conveys to everybody in the organization that safety is important and it's an essential part of what we do. We need to communicate that accidents are unacceptable. Not that we're beating people up for having accidents, but as an organization, we believe that those accidents should be eliminated, and we're going to do everything that we can to prevent those. Culture is the essential part of safety. This is what we believe, and this is important for us. So the management needs to walk the talk and talk the walk. And that means something as simple as chairing the safety committee. That doesn't mean that the boss runs the safety committee, but they're the chair. And they give credence to what the safety committee does. They back the safety committee up on their decisions and the direction that they go. And then one final thing, and this is a good thing at this time of year, many of you are doing your annual performance reviews now. Safety should be on equal footing in performance reviews. So if somebody gets a raise, it should be equally important that they've been safe and that they participated in their training and done the things the way they should, as the amount of work and the quality of work that they do on their regular items. All right. So just to move on to one, a quick question for you. How would you react to the news that your work crew shut down for a safety concern? So the crew's out working, they're in a trench, they're in a confined space, or they're doing something else, and they said, whoa, we have to stop. What would that do to your mind? And I don't know what job you're in. I can see a few people on here that come from different parts of the organization. What would be your response? Would you be happy? Would you be mad? And that speaks volumes as to your safety program. This is a critical point. If we had a shutdown of our operations because a line employee said, whoa, there's something that's not right about this operation and we may get somebody hurt, we should actually be celebrating that, not getting angry because, hey, we shut down our operations. Now, if somebody had a miss, they messed up on something, and that's the reason, we can deal with those things, but we should be celebrating that our team believes enough in safety that we'll shut down our operations to do it right, to do it safe, and to keep people going home safe. Okay, accountability goes right along with this management commitment. And so as well as the chief executive in your organization needs to be accountable for safety, they have the ultimate responsibility for people's safety. Everybody else has a role as well. Our designated safety officers, our safety committee folks, supervisors, all have specific responsibilities, and we should line those out so people understand what those responsibilities are. All right. Our job descriptions should have safety duties. It should let us know in those job descriptions what people's responsibility is for safety. Okay, and employees should have enough training so they're knowledgeable about their job, they're knowledgeable about the hazards, and the authority to do what they need to do their job safely. We should praise people for doing things that are right and set rules to enforce things when people do things wrong. What does that mean? Accountability isn't just a disciplinary program. Accountability goes way beyond discipline, but discipline is a part of it. And sometimes if we're coming from an organization where we really haven't had a good safety program and we have a poor safety culture, sometimes we have to start off with discipline. And we've watched as some organizations out there have totally turned their program around simply by the retirement or somebody leaving from the organization that was challenging everything to do with safety. And I have this point on here. Sometimes you have to shoot a hostage. And that's not a very nice way to say things, but sometimes we have to make an example and say, things are different around here. There's a new sheriff in town, and safety is important, and we're going to focus on this. And if you're not willing to help out with that, then we need to have another conversation there. All right. So one of the simplest forms of accountability is requiring incident and near miss reporting, making sure that a supervisor knows immediately when an incident happens or a near miss, and that the boss, the highest level of the organization, a chief executive in your organization, hears about that the same day. There's a reporting process, so we know. This carries the weight that this information needs to go to the top of the organization within that same day. And with most of our organizations, it can be a lot quicker than just same day. We're going to let them know because it's that important. So set those rules, formalize those, and let people know this is serious. And if you don't report those incidents, then we'll have another conversation. Okay. All right. Employees need to be involved. They need to feel empowered in their safety. There's nothing worse than feeling like you don't have any say, you don't have any choice in this, and it could lead to me getting hurt. And so that's part of our job. Whatever level of management we're in, we need to let people know that they have the right, and they have the and we really expect them to give out or to tell us if there's a concern in the workplace, to report hazards that are there. We build this culture by working together as an organization. We encourage each other, and we help people along. Some of the things that can help with this are our TARP program. We have the Team Appreciation and Recognition program that we started a few years ago, and this is something that we tried to influence as many of you as we could out there to put a program in place that gets people's awareness and helps them make safety a part of their job, their life every day. All right. Safety committees are an essential part of a safety program. Now, that wasn't on the original list, and I put this in the management accountability and management commitment, because the boss needs to say the safety committee exists, and it is an important part of our organization, and we want the members of the safety committee to work hard towards this goal. We're going to take time out of our day to sit down and review these important safety things. We're going to review incidents. We're going to review concerns and hazards and all of those things. And it's a good use of our time and a good use of our money to put that together. The safety committee is the engine of safety. Some of you out there may have got a call from the boss, and they said, "Hey, you are our designated safety officer." And you said, "What? I don't have any idea. What? How do I go about doing this?" All safety is not your job as the designated safety officer. You're just the coordinating point to make sure things happen. The safety committee is the engine of safety that makes it work. So these safety committees can be simple. We can use those in really small organizations. The key is being consistent. Here's a couple of things that I think make safety committees work well. Meet regularly. Monthly would be my recommendation. A regular day and time. Have an agenda so we stay on track. Don't waste too much time in there. Let's keep these meetings to a reasonable length and focus on those important things. We can't fix the world in one day or in one meeting. Let's focus on those high priority things, and then we can take on the others as we're able. They really chart the safety course. Where do we want to go? These things that I'm going to talk about today, our training program, the safety committees reviews the information and says, okay, this is where we're going to go with our safety program, and they go out and find the resources for those things. Accountability is driven through the safety program as well. Monthly reporting to the safety committee lets them know where to go. And one of the things we'll talk about in measurement, it would be simple things. If every department reports on their safety training for the month, and there's one department that didn't do their safety training, well, now we know where the accountability needs to go. We can follow up, and we have management backing to go in and say, hey, why didn't this happen? And we work to help them see the importance of having that training and help them overcome those hurdles that may have gotten them there. Okay. That's the first part, is on managed commitment. And I promise that was the longest one, but there's a lot of really important stuff there. Mike, if you've got any questions or anything like that I need to answer, please jump in and let me know before I go on. I saw there was some activity on the chat box, but I didn't keep up with it. Let's see.
Yep, no, we're good there. Just people commenting.
Okay, very good. Thanks for the comments, guys. Keep commenting, asking questions. Hazard identification. If you don't identify a hazard, it is still a hazard, and it might kill you. And so hazard identification is another one of those essential elements in a safety program. Physically going out and looking for those hazards, looking at the outset, really, of when we start a process. It starts before it starts. If we're going to bring in a new process, a new chemical, a new piece of equipment, we should be looking at hazards and the potential problems that they might cause to our people and to our process long before that equipment gets there or the chemical gets there. Our engineers and the people that work on that should be working for that, and that should be part of their goals. They should review processes as well. When we do this, this is going to happen, and so we make our plans based on good information. All right. And so as we look at this, we want to look at every step to perform a task. And sometimes this may seem simplistic, but if we look at each step at doing that, we can identify where the hazard is. And then once we identify that, then we can do something about it. Okay. Each job should have what we call a job safety analysis. And I'm throwing a few things out here because I know we have a real continuum of people here. There are people with many years of experience in the safety world, and you understand most of this stuff. And there are some people that are just coming into this, and the boss said, hey, you're the designated safety officer. And they're going, what do we have to, what? Don't worry about job safety analysis if you don't have a safety committee. Don't worry about new process review if you don't have your basic level of commitment from management. Let's start at those points, and then we can add these things. But some things that we should train and work with our people are doing a hazard analysis with their job. What am I about to do? What are the things that could go wrong? What are the hazards to me as part of doing this task, and what are the controls that I can put in place? Everybody should do that each day before they start to perform a task. And that's pretty simple if you're out working in a trench. Well, this trench could collapse on me. Well, the excavator could drop something on my head. I could slip and fall, and we can list all of those things off. In a clerical type organization, we're working in an office like here at the trust. What could go wrong? What are the hazards of the task that I am about to do? But that should be built into our processes. How do we look at our job and look at the day that we're getting into? Okay, so part of this is provide a way for employees to report a hazard. Don't punish employees for reporting a hazard. That's something that we should really celebrate again. Hey, we found a problem here, a potential problem, and we're going to fix it before somebody gets hurt with it. The boss should really be open. He or she should say, my door is open if you have a safety concern. You come in and do that. And if you are the boss and somebody comes in with a safety concern, act on that. Let's fix it, especially early on. If somebody comes in and says, hey, I've got a concern about this, let's dive in. Sometimes they come up with things that are not the best suggestions. Yeah, that'll happen, but let's let them know that their concerns are important. We may not do exactly what they want to address their concern, but we're definitely going to address it in one way or another. All right. We need to have a way to track what these hazards are. And we talked about this already, our MyTrust mobile app. It will be rolling out in the next couple of months, and you'll be able to get that on your phone and use that to track these hazards. Now, you may have a work order system that you're already doing that, and that's absolutely fine. You may have a spreadsheet that you track those things, but the key is that we track those problems to a completion, to where we have abated that hazard, done something to eliminate it or abate it. We should be doing regular audits and inspections of our facilities to find these hazards. They should be done by management. Get caught looking for safety things. This is, I recommend this for everybody, but especially for management. Go ask your staff, what about this? Is there anything in your job that concerns you, that makes you worry, that you may be hurt? Is there anything about your job that you don't understand? Ask good questions like that, because that will open up the staff to voicing their concerns and things that you may not have even concerned or ever considered. And we have some documents that I'll send out on regular audits and inspections of our facilities, and I'll throw those to everybody that signed up for the webinar. And I just throw this out. Sometimes they're really simple things, and this is one I found in a city building. They didn't want the kids sneaking into the gym at City Hall, and so they put a chain on the crash bars. Is this a big deal? You may say, well, it's no big deal. You can take the chain off. Well, you can until there's a fire and people start pushing on that door, and then it's every person for themselves. And this is something that, even though it appears fairly simple, could lead to a mass casualty incident. And unfortunately, we've seen those around the country and around the world with similar things like this. So let's get out and look and identify those things. Policies and procedures. Do you have can you expect people to know what to do if we don't necessarily know ourselves exactly what their job is? In industry, I think many times they may be a little bit better at this than we are in the government world. Having written policies that says line by line, this is how you do the job. Holding people accountable is difficult if we don't have a written process on how to do the job. Policies, this is what's appropriate and this is what isn't. Well, you may be new in the field and say, well, where do I even start with that? Well, the trust has a lot of boilerplate policies that we can share with you. Let us know what you're looking for. Also, we're in the government world. We don't have to worry about borrowing policies and procedures from other organizations that are similar to us. If they've done the work, let's use that. That is a great way to get a leg up, is to call up that safety person over at our sister city or district or county and say, hey, do you have something on this? And chances are they may have that, or you can work together to build it. And then we can get better together. And that's really part of what my vision of the trust is being kind of that intermediary to bring organizations together to get better in safety. Okay. Training and education. And once again, I'll just remind you, everybody, there's going to be a link to another webinar recording for each one of these different elements. So we'll go into some detail there. Training and education. We need to ask ourselves, what training is required for each job description? everybody needs to know what the score is. Should I tell a story? I'm pushing on time, but I took a job in college working as a metal fabricator, and one of my first nights on the job, they put me on this big punch press, great big massive piece of equipment, and it has a ram, big flywheel, and a ram that would go down, and it would hit some tooling, and it would punch holes into metal tubes that I'd put into the tooling. And so you'd push the button, two-hand control, it would come down, bang, and it would punch little slugs, we called those, and they were about the size of a quarter that they were cutting out of that, and they'd drop out at the bottom. Well, there was nowhere for these slugs to go, and they hit down below. There was about this much distance, and they'd fall down, and they would stack up, just like a stack of quarters. And when there got to be enough of those, nobody told me this, by the way, this is where we're going on this. Nobody told me that I had to clean those slugs out of there. They just said, take this part here. After it cycles, turn it, move it down the line. We had about 4 different parts there, 4 different tubes in there. And when you got done, you put the finished one in this bin, you move everything along, you bring another one in. Well, these slugs were stacking up, and they stacked up to a point where the next slug didn't have anywhere to go. And so what we had was a ram coming down that had about 100 tons of pressure on that ram on a stack of quarters. What happens if you put a lot of pressure on a stack of quarters? Well, that force is going to go somewhere. And if it can't smash those stack of quarters, those quarters are going to fly out. And that's what happened to me. And they shot out and they hit me right in the gut. And it doubled me over. I thought I was shot. I thought it had actually gone into my insides, and I was going to be hurt really bad. I was bent over, and fortunately, it had stopped and hadn't gone through my clothing or anything. But I did have some big bruises there for a while, and I learned a valuable lesson. But that is not the way the lesson should be learned. We should give our staff what they need to be able to safely do their job. And so to do that, we've got to understand their job for ourselves and identify for their job description, here's the training that you need to be able to be proficient and safe in doing your job. And so one of the ways that we can put that together and formalize it is in a training matrix. Here's a quick example of a training matrix. I'll shoot this out. And I will just say, though, this is not complete. This is just my guess. I said, okay, this is what a city looks like, and my best guess on the required training. It's going to be different for each of you out there because you have different hazards and different tasks. But this is a good starting point for you to put together that training matrix and then put together a training calendar. Now, the trust has lots of resources for you. We're not the do-all, end-all. We can't train you on everything that you might have out there because a lot of it's very specific. But we have, in addition to these webinars and our YouTube recordings of the webinars, we have some great resources in our Cantola and Streamery. And if you haven't been introduced to those yet, please give us a call. Specifically, Mike Stagg is over our Trust Training Academy there, and he can help you get set up on all of that. And I'm happy to help as well. But Mike is specifically qualified to do that because he handles all of Cantola and Streamery and those things. Okay. Incident investigation. I just did a webinar on this a couple of months ago. This is one of those essential programs that we have to have in place, because if we don't learn from our mistakes, they're going to happen again and again and again. And so I'd recommend that you go to that link. It's going to be here somewhere, and watch the training on incident investigation. But this should be our goal, that every incident, every near miss gets investigated, and that we come up with an answer as to what we're going to do to prevent that from happening again. So there's going to be a goal, a team, tools that go into place, and we're here to help you on putting those things together if you don't have that in place. And with incident investigation, ask why until it hurts. Remember when you're kids, if you're older, or if you got young kids, how old are they? 2 or 3, when every question is why. That's what we need to do. And when it starts to hurt, when it starts to point towards us, towards management, we're probably getting close to the issue. When it starts to hurt, we're probably close to something that we can fix and make sure it doesn't happen again. Okay, measurement. If we don't keep score, we're only practicing. And so we've got to have metrics. We've got to have some numbers that will tell us how we're doing. And we can call these key performance indicators. We can call them whatever we want to do, safety indicators, but they need to be clear. They need to be things that we understand. They need to have a target and timeline when we're setting goals. We need to use both trailing and leading indicators. Trailing indicators are not great because they've already happened. This is the number of accidents that we've had, the number of OSHA recordable injuries. They're important. We need to understand where we've been, but more importantly, let's look at those leading indicators that say this is where we're going and where we're going to be as of next year. You ask, what's a leading indicator? Well, it might be the number of safety meetings that we have. It might be the number of hazards that we've identified out there, the number of different people identifying hazards, the number of safety committee meetings. Those are key indicators to help us understand where we're going. All right, where's the data come from? How often do we gather it? Here's an example of a report, and I'll throw one of these in as well. Something that you might consider for a monthly report for your safety committee. Here are the metrics that we're going to track. And you can add or take away anything, make it fit your organization. But there are some that are essential. You know, your trailing indicators. Did we have incidents? Did we have people get injured? On leading indicators, are we getting people to report near misses, and all those things? Okay. Evaluation and improvement. At least once a year, we need to sit back and say, how did we do? We wrote a policy last year for confined space entry. Are we doing it? Does it reflect how we're actually doing the job? If it doesn't, what do we, which is correct? Because sometimes our policies miss. Sometimes people are bypassing things that are really important in keeping them safe. And so at least once a year, we're going to sit down with a management review and say, how are we doing? Did we really accomplish the goals that we set for our organization for the year? Mike did a great presentation on making safety our New Year's resolution. This one takes it a little higher level to management, where he was talking more individually. I'm going to make a resolution to be a more defensive driver. This is as an organization. What are our goals, and did we really hit those things? Okay. That was a lot of stuff, and I know I told you we're gonna not go too deep in it. Like I said, there's probably a half hour, 45-minute webinar on each of these areas to help you put those things together. Just in summary, you can do it. Safety is not easy, but it is something that any organization can do, any size, no matter how complex or anything like that. Safety can be part of what we do, but we've got to own it. We've got to say, this is our responsibility. And if somebody dies on the job, that's our responsibility as well. We don't ever want to be in that position where we have to say, we blew it and somebody died because of that. And you know, on the same level, it could be a serious incident or something like that. Let's build our team at all levels, whether it's the safety committee or the frontline employees, to understand those things. We got to track what we're doing, track where we've been and where we're going, and be honest about how we're performing. and then commit to continual improvement. We can't say, okay, we put our safety committee in or safety program in place and we're done. This is a continual improvement thing. We've always got to be looking, how do we do it better? Okay. All right. I've said a lot of words, and I haven't asked you for a lot of questions or anything like that. Mike, do we have questions or?
Yeah, I have a question in the chat that asks, "What do you think of Typhoon?"
Typhoon. I'm not familiar with Typhoon. Did you look that up, Mike?
No, I didn't. I was just in the process of doing that when you asked me about questions.
All right.
So,
I am not.
Chaz, if you could maybe expound on that for us.
I'm just looking really quick. Looks like it's a Utah company. Are you a shareholder? Whoever asked that question. Anyway, I'd love
to employee engagement. Yeah.
Employee engagement. Oh, okay. So it may be something that you can do, employee surveys and different forms of engagement.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Sounds great. I'm not familiar with the product, but we highly recommend doing those types of things. Asking questions specific about, is there something about your job that makes you nervous? How do you feel about management's response to safety issues or other things as well? Let's see. Was there?
Looks like it's it looks like Typhoon. Yeah, it looks like Typhoon is like safety videos, training. Looks like it's a learning management system kind of.
Okay. Great.
Where they can have their reports, their checklists, their JHAs, and things like that, all on a device or an app that their employees can use.
I'm not familiar with the product, but whatever works to help your organization to move forward, I think is great. So I'll look. I opened it up on my phone when we get done today. I'll take a look at that and see where we're at. Looks like we had a question on Streamery. You want to take that one, Mike?
Yep.
The Streamery.
Yep, I've got that one.
You want to tell us just what Streamery is?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Streamery is an online video library that we have access to here at the Trust. It's free of charge to you guys and each of your organizations. There's over 750 individual videos on there. Everything from stuff about ergonomics to some like, it's not certification training, but it's more like refresher training and like forklift safety, personal protective equipment, confined space. So they're by no means certifications, but they are a great resource, a great training tool, a great review for your staff members. If you wanted to get set up with that or anything like that, just send me a quick email, mike@utahtrust.gov, and I can get you all set up with anything that you might need with that.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Looks like we got a question if we can send out a copy of the PowerPoint. Yes, I will make this into a PDF and send it out. Once the recording of the session's gone up on YouTube, I'll send you the link along with the documents that we talked about in this presentation. And just as to wrap up, our job here, Mike, myself, Jeff, we are here to help you improve your safety program. We're here to help you be successful, and so give us a call if you're barely new and starting, and you need where do I even start? We're here for you there. If you've been doing it for a long time and you've got a really nitty-gritty question on a regulation or specific how things go, give that to us as well. I love to dive in and find those things and come up with solutions for you. But our goal is to work together as a team to improve all of our organizations around the state and really make Utah a safer place. So thank you so much for your time.
So, Jason,
yeah,
we got a quick question from Chad in the chat. If we're going to do, he knows that we're going to offer the OSHA 10 courses. Are we going to do OSHA 30s as well? We will do those. If we can make it work and it works for us in the organization, we can get enough people there and folks trained. Just get in touch with us and we'll work with you for sure.
Yeah, our plan right now is to do the 10-hour course but really gauge how much people want the OSHA 30. So let us know if you can send us an email. My email is jason@utahtrust.gov and Mike's is mike@utahtrust.gov. Send us an email and say, hey, I've got a bunch of people I want to get through the OSHA 30 course, and let us know. Initially, we looked at the OSHA 10 and said, this is probably a pretty good starting point. But if there's a real desire for 30, let us know.
Yeah, we got another one from Scott here about OSHA 30. So yeah, the more data we can get saying that you guys want something like that, we can make it happen for you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Folks, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and attention to this presentation. I hope it was clear, and it was a good starting point, but realize that there's a lot more information on each of these elements, but we're here to help you in putting those things in place. So, okay. Thanks so much, everybody. Sorry, it's a lot of material to cover. I'm just trying to think if I've covered everything. I think we got it. Please be safe out there, and have a safe day.